Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy DLloyd. So we are now finished with season number 1. We won the national championship 21-7 against Wisconsin. So we did finish number 1 in the top 25 poll. Mississippi State, the team that gave us our only blemish during the regular season, they are number 2 to finish off the top 25 poll. And then obviously Alabama, they fell to number 6, and Wisconsin will finish number 5. So after winning the national championship, looking at the coaching carousel, we did get a 6-year extension to remain in Lexington. So obviously we're going to go ahead and accept the contract extension so we don't have to worry about getting fired or anything like that anytime soon. So nothing else really happened to note in the coaching carousel, except Cincinnati did decide to get a new head coach, and that new head coach is our former offensive coordinator. They are going to go ahead and sign Neil Brown as their new head coach. So he is going to bring over their air raid offense that Kentucky was supposed to use before I became the head coach. And then Boston College, they went ahead and signed a new coach as well. I thought they were going to get Lane Kiffin, but they got our defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott. So we lost both of our offensive coordinators during this offseason. So to replace them, we got a level 6 defensive coordinator, Kevin Kelly, and then we have a level 20 offensive coordinator, former head coach of Middle Tennessee, Rick Stockstill. So we are clearly going to use his level 20 to our advantage, as he was able to unlock pretty much everything in the coaching tree. Now looking at some of the players that are leaving Kentucky this season, there are no juniors that are leaving this team, which is a good thing. We did have 2 seniors who are projected to go in the first round, and looking at the draft results, they both got drafted in the first round. Zadarius Smith and Bud Dupree, 2 players going in the first round, so that should help us a little bit with our pro potential recruiting later on. Speaking of recruiting, this is our off-season recruiting board, and there was really only 3 main players that I really wanted. Steven Porter, obviously I wanted him bad. He is an athlete, and you see some of his stats: 94 speed, 88 man coverage, 85 zone coverage, and the 75 catching. He is an athlete, and he could pretty much play in the secondary or possibly even play receiver. So we dumped 7,000 points on him. Fred Allen is a sophomore JUCO middle linebacker. We need depth at the middle linebacker position. So Fred Allen is a player that we targeted. Hopefully he could come in as our number 2 middle linebacker. And then the third player is somebody that we recently added, and that's Reggie Petway. Now we have a whole lot of running backs, so it's really not the fact that I want him to play anytime soon, but he did have 94 speed, so I looked at him as a possible return man. And we are tied with Hawaii coming into the offseason, so I was hoping we will be able to out-recruit them, but apparently Arizona State jumped ahead of both of us and they were able to sign them. But we did get Fred Allen, and we did sign Steven Porter. These other players, I didn't put no points to them at all, and some of the players had a red X beside their name even though they're on my recruiting board, and I don't know what that means. So if you do know what that means, please let me know in the comment section below. So I didn't know what that meant, so I just didn't give them any points because I didn't know if they're ineligible to play or anything like that. So our top classes, finally at the end of the recruiting period, we finished 21st in recruiting class, which is pretty good. I am pretty excited about our recruiting class this season, especially Steven Porter. Like I said, a 78 overall. He's very versatile. He could play a lot of positions. Fred Allen is also a top player, but then we have Avery Gutierrez, who was our main top guy, and then we have Lemon, who is going to be our receiver. So we have a couple of good players, and then we also have Rob Carrington, who's going to be most likely our starter at left outside linebacker. So looking at the position changes, I'm looking at the cornerback position, I'm looking at the free safety position, pretty much everything in our secondary. So what I decided to go ahead and do, I put William Houston, who was our 3-star athlete, I moved him to free safety. And then what I decided to do with Steven Porter is, since we had a lot of depth at our cornerback position, I decided to go ahead and move him to receiver to start things off for now, because he can play the slot for us and he can play as a true freshman, and I didn't really want to sit Steven Porter, so I decided to go ahead and move him to receiver. And if we do need help later on in our secondary, we always have the ability to move him back to play in the secondary. So looking at the training results, which is also one of my favorite parts of the offseason, just seeing how everybody gets better. You see Braylon Hurd, the last year's Heisman Trophy winner, he moved up 5. His speed also went up, so he is now at 88 overall coming into his redshirt senior year. JoJo Kemp, Mikael Horton also all got better by a lot. So we have running backs all day. Our whole depth chart is pretty much filled with running backs. Ryan Timmons is back for his junior year, and he is an 87 overall, and he comes up with 93 speed now, as that went up by 2. So we have a solid receiving core. Dorian Baker also moved up 5 points as well, but I do expect him to be our 4th receiver, as we're probably going to put Steven Porter as our slot. So looking at our offensive line, I am comfortable with our offensive line. We do need help at left tackle, but we have enough talent across the board that we could plug in some players here and there, and we will have a solid offensive line this season, which will help out our rushing attack. Jason Hatcher, he returned and he got a lot better, and then Melvin Lewis is now at 89 overall at defensive tackle. Josh Forrest moved up to a 92 overall, so we're going to have a very big presence on the defensive side of the football, and that's where I focus a lot of my recruiting, was on the defensive side of the ball. So we have a solid core of defenders returning, and then we have a solid core of freshmen and young defensive players. So I'm excited about our defense. Our cornerback positions are also pretty stacked as well. Fred Taylor, this man came through in the clutch every time we needed him last season. He returns, and then obviously AJ Stamps, he's coming back. And then our kicker situation, we have a junior kicker, and we're going to need to replace our punter, as he is a senior and he is going to leave at the end of this year. Now as for Steven Porter, he came in wearing number 83, but he came in with no gloves, and that is a huge pet peeve of mine, especially if you want to play receiver. So we had to add a little bit of swag to Steven Porter, so we did change his number and change a couple of his accessories, and this is what he will be wearing at least for his freshman season. So Steven Porter will be wearing number 2, and that just looks a whole lot better. And hopefully, you know, you look good, you play good, so hopefully he could give us a pretty productive freshman season. Now as for our red shirts, pretty much if you were not a starter or you were not a immediate backup, we put a red shirt on you. So that did include Jeremy Lemon, who was one of our top recruits, but we did go ahead and throw the red shirt on him. None of our tight ends we could red shirt because we only have 3 on the roster. Now as for our linemen, everything is pretty much the same, so we did red shirt a couple of the walk-ons that we got just to fill up our roster. We redshirted Calvin Mendoza just because we had 2 centers ahead of him. So even though he was a sophomore, he did receive the red shirt from us. Sullivan also got the red shirt at left end. And as for our right end position, we also decided to redshirt Nathan Walker. I did think about not redshirting him because he was the 2nd string end, but we did decide to go ahead and throw the red shirt on him. Rob Carrington will not get it because he is going to start as a true freshman. And then Phillip Branch and Casey Brown both got the red shirt. So we are a little thin at linebacker in terms of depth, but we do have red shirts on quite a couple people who can play big roles in the future. Avery Gutierrez also received the red shirt from us as well. So looking at our roster, we have an A+ strength roster. We did improve it from last season, and we're going to take on 2 of our former offensive and defensive coordinators. So we're going to play Cincinnati and Boston College, and then obviously we have to get in the game against Louisville. So our conference is pretty tough. We do have an easy game against ODU in middle of Alabama and Mississippi State, but Mississippi State is the game that we are waiting for. We play them in week 9, but we do take them at home this year. But that is it for this episode. I'm excited for the season. I think we have a really good squad, and I think we have a chance to, you know, defend our title pretty well this season. We're number 7th in the country coming into the year, so I'm very excited. But that is it for this episode, so please go ahead, leave this video a like, Subscribe if you haven't already. It's your boy D Lloyd. I'm gonna see y'all next time. Peace.